You check your phone, nothing happened. No new notification, you check it again 40 minutes later anyway, thumb moving faster than the thought that sent it there, nothing changed in the last 90 seconds. You know that. You check anyway, the way your thumb moves before your brain has even finished deciding to let it. Why does an empty screen keep pulling you back like there's something you're missing? This isn't weak willpower, it isn't a character flaw, it's a 500,000-year-old reward tracking system doing exactly what it evolved to do, except now it's aimed at a device engineered to exploit it. Start with the mechanism. In the 1950s, Harvard psychologist B. F. Skinner put pigeons in a box with a lever. Peck the lever, sometimes food appears, sometimes it doesn't, and there's no way to predict which. Skinner called it variable ratio reinforcement, and out of every reward schedule he tested, it produced the strongest, most persistent behavior of all. Pigeons on a predictable schedule pecked steadily and stopped quickly once the food ran out. Pigeons on an unpredictable schedule pecked almost without stopping, and kept pecking long after the food was gone completely, still hoping the next one might be the one. Even more revealing was what happened when Skinner turned the food off completely. Pigeons on the predictable schedule noticed almost immediately and stopped pecking within minutes. Pigeons on the unpredictable schedule kept pecking for hours, sometimes thousands of times, long after there was nothing left to win. Uncertainty, it turned out, was more powerful at sustaining behavior than the reward itself ever was. That explains the behavior. It took another few decades to explain what was actually happening in the brain. In the 1990s, Cambridge neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz recorded individual neurons in monkeys while they waited for a reward, and found something that reversed the obvious assumption. Dopamine, the brain chemical everyone associates with pleasure, didn't spike when the reward arrived. It spiked before that, during the uncertainty, and it spiked hardest of all when the outcome was least predictable. He trained the monkeys to expect a reward after a cue, then started removing the reward at random. The dopamine signal barely moved when a fully expected reward showed up on schedule. But strip away the predictability, and the same neurons fired in a sharp burst the instant uncertainty entered the picture, highest of all right when the monkey had no way to know if this time would pay off. Schultz called it a reward prediction error. Your brain isn't wired to reward you for getting something good. It's wired to reward you for not being sure whether you will. Put those two findings together and you get something that should sound familiar. In 2012, anthropologist Natasha Dow Schüll published 15 years of fieldwork inside Las Vegas casinos. Watching what she called the machine zone, a state where gamblers stop playing to win and start playing just to keep playing. She interviewed hundreds of gamblers who described losing track of time, money, even physical hunger while chasing that state. One woman told her she'd rather be in the machine zone than anywhere else in her life, including with her own family. That's not a throwaway line. It's a warning about how completely an unpredictable reward schedule can reroute what a person wants. Schüll found that the casino industry had already discovered Skinner's and Schultz's findings decades earlier, just without the neuroscience vocabulary, and had spent enormous engineering effort making slot machines deliver rewards on exactly the least predictable schedule possible. Her conclusion was blunt: this isn't a personal weakness in the gambler. It's a designed interaction between human reward circuitry and a machine built specifically to exploit it. Picture the couch. The show is paused. You open an app for what you tell yourself will be 10 seconds, nothing new. You close it, you open it again 11 seconds later, still nothing. You close it again, this isn't information gathering. There's nothing left to find. It's the lever, pressed one more time, on the off chance this pull is the one that pays out. Or picture waiting for a reply. You sent the message 4 minutes ago. You open the conversation, see nothing new, close it, and somehow find yourself back in the same conversation 90 seconds later. As if checking harder might make the reply arrive faster. It won't. You know it won't. You check anyway, because the not knowing itself has become the thing your brain is chasing, not the message. Your ancestor did a version of this too, just with a bush instead of a screen. Some plants fruited reliably every season, check those occasionally, no rush. Others fruited unpredictably, a good patch some years and nothing others. The unpredictable ones were the ones foragers returned to obsessively, checking again and again, because uncertain resources are exactly the kind your attention evolved to fixate on. Reliable food doesn't need monitoring. Unreliable food does. Now picture the small red circle with a number in it. sitting on an app icon. It isn't telling you what's inside. It's just telling you that something might be, and letting the same ancient circuitry that once tracked an unreliable berry bush do the rest of the work for free. Here's the part that should bother you more than the checking itself. This wasn't an accident that emerged naturally as phones got more advanced. The infinite scroll, the pull to refresh gesture that mimics a slot machine's arm, the notification badge that shows a number but not a reason, these were built, deliberately, by people who understood Skinner's pigeons and Schultz's monkeys and, in some cases, sat in the same design conversations as people who'd read Schultz's research on what keeps a gambler in the machine zone. Documents that surfaced in later lawsuits and internal research leaks showed some of the largest tech companies quietly testing which notification patterns kept users opening an app the most and finding, unsurprisingly, that unpredictable ones won every time. Nobody needed to invent a new trick. Skinner's pigeons had already done the research for free, 70 years earlier, in a box built for a different species entirely. You're not failing to control an urge, you're the target of an industry that studied exactly which urge to build. That reframes the whole problem. Willpower was never really the right tool for this, because willpower assumes the fight is fair, you against a craving that exists on its own. It isn't. It's you against a system engineered by people whose job was to make the craving win, which is also, strangely, good news. Skinner's pigeons stopped pecking almost immediately once the lever stopped being present in the cage at all. Not because their willpower improved. Because the trigger was gone. In practice, that means the advice that actually works looks unglamorous. Turn off the badge that shows a number without a reason. Move the app off the screen you see first. Put the phone in another room while you work, the same way Skinner's pigeons stopped pecking once the lever left the cage. None of that requires more self-control. It requires less exposure to the exact kind of uncertainty your brain was built to chase. The pigeons were never weak-willed. They just still had a lever. You'll still check your phone, but maybe the goal was never to want it less. Maybe it's just to stop building your day around a lever that was never yours to begin with.